I'd like to call this September 13th, 2023 meeting of the Ogden Town Board to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We typically take a second to take a moment of silence for our veterans and first responders. I'd like to also just remember the men and women who served on 9/11, lost their lives, and continue to think about our first responders and veterans serving around the world. Thank you. I'd also like to take another moment of silence for the passing of our longtime friend and councilman, Mel Perry. Thank you.
Can a page in the minutes be set aside for Mel Perry?
Absolutely.
A page in the minutes set aside for Mel Perry.
We have an article going into the West Side News as well. Thank you, Dan. I'd like to welcome everybody here to this board meeting. First on our agenda is a public hearing for introductory local law number 9. Madam Clerk?
Please take notice the town board of the town of Ogden will hold and conduct a public hearing to consider the enactment of local law number 9-2023, which public hearing will be held and conducted at the Ogden Community Center, 269 Ogden Center Road, Spencerport, New York 14559, on the 13th day of September 2023 at 7 p.m., and at which hearing all interested persons shall be heard concerning the subject matter thereof. The proposed local law proposes to establish a position of alternate member for the Zoning Board of Appeals and Planning Boards of the town of Ogden. A full and complete text of such local law is presently on file where it may be examined by all interested persons during normal business hours.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. And for the purposes of hearing a little bit more about this, I invited the building inspector, Brian Thompson, to come and speak on this, and then we'll hear from the public.
Good evening, board members. Brian Thompson, building inspector for the town of Ogden. As lead for the planning and zoning boards, we are responsible for applicants being scheduled and placed on the agenda to be heard at the board meetings. Sue Dugan is the secretary to the boards and interacts with the members in regards to scheduling and supplying them with the applicant's data. Both the planning and zoning boards are a 7-person board that hear the vote on the applications before them. We need at least 4 members to be able to have a meeting to get a majority vote. In fairness to the applicant, a full 7-member board allows for a more diverse look at their applications, which may change the way the vote goes. We have not had more than a couple meetings in the past year and a half that have had full board attendance. We understand that life happens, and it's not possible to make every meeting. Recently, the town has had some large projects that required several meetings that required actions from both planning board, zoning board, and town board, and some are still in the board approval process. We are also expecting some large new projects in the upcoming months. Many municipalities in Monroe County have alternates for their planning and zoning boards to help fill a vacancy, and in some cases prevent the need to cancel a meeting due to the lack of members. The alternate request is mindful of the applicant's right to have a consistent majority of board members at each meeting. As a lead department for the boards, we are in support of adding an alternate board member to the roster. Thank you for your consideration.
Does anyone from the public have any comments on this local law? Seeing none, are there any board members have any comments or thoughts on this local law? Mr. Shum, do you have any comments or thoughts on this local
just
law?
that what Brian has said is true. You know, having been on the other side of the dais on occasion, going to planning and zoning board meetings, and you count heads and you got 5 members and you know you got to get 4 to vote in favor of it, which is substantially more than a majority. Or in some cases you got to get a unanimous vote if there's just 4 members. I found myself in the position of asking that the matter be adjourned, which is a two-edged sword because it's a month down the road, and your client is not necessarily happy that the project that they're proposing, whatever it might be, is now a couple months away, let's put it that way. So this presents a great opportunity. The people still have to have the educational requirements, and the alternate member would only be entitled to participate if the absent member is truly absent or has a conflict of interest. There's not just, you can't just switch them out indiscriminately. So there's some guidance there as well in the proposed local law.
Thank you. Anything further? All right, I will close the public hearing. Next, I'll ask for a motion approval of the minutes, Resolution 228.
So moved. Second.
Moved by Councilman Baker, seconded by Councilman Toms. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Item carries. Next is approval of minutes for the special session. That's Resolution 229.
So moved. Second.
Moved by Councilman Baker, seconded by Councilman Hinman. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item carries. Next, we have privilege of the floor. Is anyone here that wishes to address the board at this time? Seeing none, we will close the privilege of the floor, and we will have reports and remittances from town officers. Resolution 230.
So moved. Second.
Moved by Councilman Tom, seconded by Councilman Baker. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Item carries. Next, town audits, Resolution 231.
So moved. Second.
Moved by Councilman Tom, seconded by Councilman Hinman. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item carries. Correspondence are there listed on your agenda. Next, we'll move to reports from town officers. We took a moment of silence for Councilman Mel Perry and just wanted to reiterate that there is a memorial service of remembrance and celebration held this Saturday at 1 p.m. at Pierce Memorial Church, which is in North Chili. Yeah, just obviously, moment here, Mel was kind of the one person that stuck around to help this board transition, and always very kind. Took a lot of time and thought in the things that he did. Certainly had a specific passion and affinity for our Parks Department, and just want to say that he really will be missed. It was so nice to see him when we were walking in the parade earlier this spring, and just really sad and surprised to see the way that turned out, but miss him a lot. Moving on from that, we have our Parks and Rec 5K on September 23rd at 8 a.m. That was a pretty good time last year, right?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, pretty fun. Met with local businesses to discuss the 2024 solar eclipse on September. We had the meeting on September 6th, and that was really good to get some of the input and hear from, especially more of the bigger plotted farm areas that might want to hold events, and we're really just starting that conversation. We also had a follow-up DRC, bunch of us here, with the Ellicott Development Group, and kind of, we got to hear from their engineer too, so that was nice that they were there, and reminded them that it would be in their best interest to make sure they've got everything ready for the next time. But that seems to be moving along a little bit. Ashley Smith from the U.S. Department of Veterans Services, we've been talking about scheduling events, especially in Suicide Prevention Month here, and she'll be holding an event Saturday, September 23rd at the Ogden Farmers Library for all residents, not just veterans, but that's kind of the target there. And we're looking to have maybe a bigger event, almost a clinic, to really help veterans get services that they may need. Met with the new president of Roberts. I know that they've got quite a few things that they are looking at over the next 10 years. They own a lot of property on the Ogden side, and so it's good to make that connection. We are in the midst of looking for a new finance director. Brian Grant, unfortunately for us, got a fantastic position with the RPO. And you'll see on the agenda later that we are contracting with a consultant who used to work for the town, and we're very confident that she'll help us get to the right spot in our budget in the meantime. Municity onboarding has begun, at least from the town side, and was explaining to actually both Steve and Councilman Toms and Brian Thompson that it's just fun to have a project that's been around for a while start to see that finish line. I know Brian's really excited for the finish line portion, but they came in, they had a team of people, they worked with us for multiple days, and everybody's really optimistic this is gonna make a very positive change. Talk about doing more with less people. This makes us a little bit more efficient and can take some things off their plates. And then two real important things. The next steering committee for our comprehensive plan is Monday, September 18th, where we're talking a lot about Parks and Rec. Everybody's welcome to attend if you can. That's at 3 o'clock, right here. And then we've been having a continuous conversation about a new splash pad. As you may know, we closed this year's splash pad for the last time. Just a lot of problems and issues with it, and we've been pretty diligent about funding for that, both federal, state, and through some savings to construct a new splash pad. There was a meeting that happened in Greece to look at their mechanics, the mechanics of their splash pad, I should say, and now we're entering into a conversation to acquire an engineer that can help us, especially with water flow. And we're just kind of at the ground stages of that, but hoping to have that completed, the whole project completed by next summer. So a little bit ambitious, but we're looking forward to it. All right, Councilman Baker?
Not too much. Glad to be back. Hope everyone had a good summer. The only thing really to report was I went to calling hours this past weekend for past Spencerport Mayor Glenn Granger. Glenn was mayor of Spencerport, and prior to that, he also helped out the fire department. He was a social member there, did parade announcing for them, did their annual kids' Christmas party where he was Santa Claus. So he did a lot of stuff in the Spencerport community, and it was quite a turnout for him. So I gave my condolences to his wife Maureen on behalf of the town, and she appreciated that. So that's all I have.
Thank you. Councilman Gerbino is unable to be here. Councilman Hinman?
Yeah, like Councilman Baker, I've just been enjoying the summer, the time off, and everything that's in this area. The weather I'm really enjoying. Went to the last ZBA meeting last week. It was good meeting. Had a little bit of a turnout there, which is good to see public participation. And it was good to see how we went through. There was a big ask on one of the topics that was discussed over on Turner Drive. So it was good to see the whole board work around and try to but come up with ways to try to make it a little more easier and for the public, just because it was, like I said, it was a big ask. So it was just good to see the board working well together like that. But other than that, I don't have anything else to report.
Thank you. Councilman Toms?
Yeah, I met with the library board, their last meeting, and I know John's here tonight to give us an update on some of that in work session. Obviously, they're looking for, as we talked about in the past, the fine-free dollars added to their budget dollars this year, and 2.5% COLA increase as well for their employees. And again, we'll be discussing that later. That's all I have.
Very good. Highway Superintendent Dan Wolf.
No report.
Town Clerk Noel Burley.
We are in the midst of school tax collection. Friday is the deadline for first installments, and then October 1st is the deadline for fulls. So we are busy.
Very good. And our town attorney, Mr. Shum?
Reached out again to a town resident concerning granting of an easement so that if that project can get funded either at the state level or even some federal funds for sewer extensions, that easement is in place. I tried to put her in touch with an independent appraiser and an independent attorney to give her some advice. And I haven't heard back from her, but she did call me, had a lengthy discussion with her. She said she's very much interested. She doesn't want to be an obstructionist or stand in the way, but she wants to do what's best for her parents who own the property. So I can understand both of those thoughts, and I appreciated her calling. We do have a local law. We had the public hearing tonight. I'd be glad to discuss that further with the board, should they have any questions in the work session. That's it.
Very good. There being no unfinished business, we'll move into new business. Madam Clerk?
Resolution 232, appointing Valerie Lubisco to the position of part-time recreation attendant for the Town of Ogden Parks and Rec Department effective September 1st, 2023.
So moved.
Second?
Moved by Councilman Baker, seconded by Councilman Toms. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item carries. Next, please.
Resolution 233, approving the rehiring of Peter Zambuto as a non-competitive court attendant, part-time, effective September 5th, 2023.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Councilman Toms, seconded by Councilman Baker. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item carries. Next, please.
Resolution 234, authorizing Ogden Town Supervisor to execute an agreement between the Town of Ogden and the County of Monroe for the use of the county's Data Works Plus system.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Councilman Hinman, seconded by Councilman Baker. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item carries. Next, please.
Resolution 235, accepting the dedication of the sanitary sewer facilities as installed by 2785 Group LLC as part of the Town of Ogden sanitary sewer system for and on behalf of the Ogden Consolidated Sewer District.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Councilman Baker, seconded by Councilman Hinman. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item carries. Next, please.
Resolution 236, authorizing the renewal of LL Huffco Inc.'s excavation license for property located on Canal Road in the Town of Ogden.
I move that.
Second.
Moved by Councilman Hinman, seconded by Councilman Baker. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item carries. Next, please.
Resolution 237, authorizing the renewal of LL Huffco Inc.'s excavation license for property located on the Canal Road in the Town of Ogden.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Councilman Hinman, seconded by Councilman Baker. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item carries. Next, please.
Authorizing Ogden Town Supervisor Mike Dow to execute an independent contractor agreement by and between the Town of Ogden and Paula A. Parker for the furnishing of financial assistance in developing and completing the Town of Ogden 2024 budget and furnishing of other related financial services.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Councilman Tom, seconded by Councilman Baker. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item carries. Next, please.
Resolution 239, appointing Brandon Forrester to the position of full-time motor equipment operator in the Highway Department effective 9/11/2023 with a 52-week probationary period.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Councilman Baker, seconded by Councilman Hinman. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item carries. I'll make a motion that we move, I'll make a motion that we adjourn and move into work session.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we are adjourned to work session.